Hello. manuppowerup asks, should atheists commit mass suicide? And then after that, why are we still living? If you're an atheist, why still living? I think that an analogy would help to make the logic of this question a little clearer. So let's say you have these two big ballrooms, for instance. In one room, there's every food you could imagine, all the foods that you love, everything, anything. The next room is empty. Now, you have to start in the room with all the food, and then eventually move into the room where there's nothing. So you put a fat guy in the room filled with food, and he's starving, and he's going to eat the whole place. Would it make any sense whatsoever to go up to that man and say, why would you bother eating anything in this room when there's nothing to eat in the next room? No, you probably wouldn't. It wouldn't make much sense because there's food there, so obviously he's going to eat it there before he goes to the room where there's nothing. In this analogy, for the atheist worldview, the room filled with food is life, and the next room after that with nothing would be death. The question is, why would you forsake all that you are provided in the room with food, with life, for the room with nothing? Obviously, you would want to make the most of what you have while you have it. Let's rearrange this analogy to the theist point of view, that being that heaven comes after life. So this time, the first room has some food, not necessarily your best food. You kind of stuck with what you get. It's the second room that has all the food that you could possibly want and imagine. Wouldn't it be more logical that a theist would be more eager to get to the next room than an atheist? Because if they've got something better coming afterwards, then there's less motivation to stay in the room where there's stuff that they might not want. So the answer to this question comes down to a very simple question of logic. That being, would you want to exchange everything for nothing? And what sensible person would ever make that trade-off? Now, the question posed to theists who believe in heaven actually does make some amount of sense. That being, would you exchange something for something a whole hell of a lot better? Now, most people would probably say, yeah, I would exchange something for something a hell of a lot better. So I think it's clear that a much stronger argument can be made that theists would want to kill themselves to get to heaven, rather than atheists who have to make the best of what they have while they have it. I think all of the following questions that manuppowerup brings up can be answered pretty easily with the answer to this first question. He asks why atheists don't just do whatever they want and commit crimes and whatnot. I don't think this has anything to do with whether or not there's heaven after life. I think it has to do with being an ethical, decent person. And I think both theists and atheists have a responsibility to be that type of person while they're living. Incidentally, I don't think suggesting that a group of people go and kill themselves as a favor fits within that concept of decency. He also asks, what does being a good person amount to? Well, let me ask you a simple question. Who do you like more, Adolf Hitler or Abraham Lincoln? I think it's clear that whether or not Abraham Lincoln went to heaven, that his good deeds lived well beyond him and helped to shape this country and this world and benefit many, many people. So the good deeds we do live far beyond us if they're good deeds. Sadly, the horrible deeds also live on, but that answers the question, who do you like more? Obviously, Adolf Hitler is someone that will be hated for all eternity, whereas Abraham Lincoln will be someone who is revered for all of eternity. manuppowerup suggests that atheists don't amount to anything because they don't believe in life after death. And this kind of confuses me, and I'm wondering, what is the difference between a theist and an atheist when it comes to amounting to something because of whether or not they believe in heaven? What I mean is it doesn't matter if you're a theist or an atheist. At the point of death, obviously, the life of both is over, and their influence in the world is over. So what more is the atheist or the theist going to amount to? And isn't what they've done so far in life what they're going to have to stand on? So the answers to all these questions is really just simple logic, suggesting the lack of simple logic in the questioning. Really, I'm amazed at myself for answering these questions so courteously, because the questions themselves were anything but courteous. Suggesting people kill themselves as a favor. Come on. Where's your Christian love and compassion in that suggestion? I hope St. Peter takes a good hard look at people before he lets them through those gates.